Hello, everyone. Semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today is one of those miscellaneous odds and ends days. I'm very excited to have Dustin with us from Keto Simple. So why don't you go ahead, for those of my audience that don't know who you are, Dustin, why don't you go ahead and take a few minutes, introduce yourself, and tell us what you do.
I'm Dustin. Keto Simple. I'm half of Keto Simple, I should say. My wife does review content with me as well. We review keto products that we find in the grocery stores, we find online, companies send us. Really, so you don't have to necessarily, because most of them, as Bob will tell you, are pretty gross. And just because you see them out there, curiosity gets the best of most of us. So we just want to make sure that you're not wasting your money where you don't have to. And we do some recipes and we do some other kinds of videos too.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Dustin. I did notice back in a few videos ago, well, it's been several months ago now, but you started a beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge. And then you kind of got sidetracked because you borrowed that creamy from Jackie. And so you had
Yeah,
to do
yeah.
some of those videos. But I really wanted to ask you, how is your beef, butter, bacon, and eggs journey going? And are you still doing it?
Well, I haven't quit. It is uh, June. I don't know when everybody's going to be watching this, but June is like a heavy birthday month for our family. So my birthday is in June, Shanda's birthday is in June, and our oldest daughter's birthday is in June. So we've gone out to dinner. We've had some things that aren't beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, along with that content that we just kind of needed to create, because Jackie had loaned us that creamy. We needed to make that content before I gave it back to her, and so we just kind of went ahead and did that. Chandra lasted all the way through June, or till June, the 1st of June. She stopped doing beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and that was sort of the plan for her all along. As far as for myself is concerned, I'm still on track. I knew that I was going to have some derail days coming up with birthdays and such, and especially coming up next weekend with the 4th of July. We'll be out of town and such, and may not be able to be strictly beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. So, because we won't be home for like 4 days. So, my goal is to continue on, even with the setbacks that I knew that I would have, um, until October, because I haven't had coffee or caffeine since we started that either. So that was part of my beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge as well. I mean, really, for me, it's a reset and accountability thing for me to kind of get me reset and restarted. So
Yeah.
it's difficult because it is not much different than keto or carnivore necessarily, but it is a little more restricting because you're kind of not having chicken, you're not having pork. I mean, except outside of bacon, I guess, which you know. But it's I feel really good while I'm on it day to day, and I've got it kind of down to to an easy thing. I just have some burger patties, bacon, eggs, and such, and I just kind of or steak. So I just try to keep it as easy as I can, so that way it's easier to stay on track. And so basically, I'll be back, or not necessarily back, but I don't have anything after the 4th of July until October, I don't think, to keep me from doing it and staying consistent with that. Yeah. And I know we haven't been up on the content with that. I mean, we filmed some stuff, but life's kind of got in the way with some of that stuff. And
Yeah, it's amazing how much life gets in the way. That's leads us into something else I wanted to talk about, because I'm sure you haven't been hanging on my every word and watching all of my videos, but I just put out a keto chow review of their new flavors today, and I'm getting a ton of backlash on that because I am a carnivore channel, and people just lose their minds when I do something that's slightly off carnivore. But knowing that you were going to have these kind of built in, not on beef, butter, bacon, and eggs days when you started the challenge because of the things coming up, have you had a lot of people leaving negative comments on your channel about, well, you're not really doing the beef, butter, bacon, egg challenge? You keep taking breaks from it to film other content.
no, I think I'm very fortunate that I don't get a lot of negative comments or feedback in general with my channel. So I think I'm very, and like I said, I'm very fortunate with that because I'm not quite sure why people would leave negative feedback like that. I mean, it's like, and we try to be open and honest when we started and we did our opening video of beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge and such. We tried to outline that, hey, here's what we're looking to do. Here's our goal. And here's some things that'll probably happen along the way. So I think we try to make sure that we're as transparent as we can be, because, this isn't necessarily only about us here. This is about a community that we're trying to build. We're trying to be inclusive, and nobody's going to be exactly the same. So even with you doing, you're like, what, 99.9% carnivore most of the time, maybe some keto chow, or I don't know, maybe you breathe in some grass when you're mowing your grass or something, you know what I mean? But I mean, it's silly to me that people get like that, because I mean, you're doing everything that you're doing in good faith, right? You're sharing your life, you're sharing your journey with all of us. We're fortunate enough to have you do so. Why the negativity? I don't know. I don't know why people do that, to be honest.
Yeah, I knew it was going to happen because I got some of that back when the birthday cake flavor came out. I saw your birthday cake keto chow, and my comments on the birthday cake keto chow is that this is a very dangerous flavor because it's really, really good. But the new ones, not quite as dangerous for me because it's just a remake of old flavors. They were good. Don't get me wrong, they were good. I like keto chow, but it's not something I'm going to do every day. It's not even something I'm going to do every month. But that leads me to another question I wanted to ask again about comments and other things, because you do a lot of reviews on keto products that you find. Like I saw one that you picked up at Aldi that prompted the little clip that I made about you in one of my lives. And if you guys haven't seen that, he made it into a short, so be sure and go over to his channel and check that out, because I thought it was pretty funny. But there are a lot of keto products out there that just have keto on the label and aren't really. So do you get negative comments, or when you're buying keto products to review on your channel, do you ever pick one up off the shelf, look at it and go, oh, they've just stuck keto on the label. This is really a package of Oreos with different branding.
There's a lot of stuff that we pick up and just put right back on the shelf. There's and I made a couple of shorts. Sometimes when I see those kind of products on the shelf, I'll just take a quick little video with my phone, and then I'll make it into like a short, like, did you see this? And like show the ingredients. There's like breading, like for baking and stuff at the grocery store. And it's basically just wheat flour. I'm like, that's not keto at all. But I mean, you see that stuff, and then some of it is so off the charts, off the deep ends, not keto, that I don't even bother. Even though, I mean, I still kind of question, should we still? I mean, and we've tried stuff too on the channel that is way out of the league of being keto, like tortillas and breads and all that kind of stuff, and the bagels and things like that. I mean, they're not really keto at all. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things that we'll just see in the store, pick up, look at, and then, I mean, two reasons we may not buy it will be the ingredients or the price, because some of the keto stuff, the price is just like, it's ridiculous.
There is a lot of price involved, and I see a lot of manufacturers cashing in on that, yet their products aren't really keto at all. Another quick thing I wanted to ask you about, because I see, like, in one of your recent cookie videos, you bought both the chocolate mint and the peanut butter flavor. Do you buy peanut butter flavors just to torture your wife, or are you actually interested in peanut butter flavor for yourself?
Well, okay, so just to kind of dispel that, is she likes peanut butter, but peanut butter doesn't agree with her. So I mean, unfortunately, there's a lot of peanut butter flavored keto items out there, or faux keto items out there. So, I mean, you could look at our channel and say, do I buy anything just to be mean to her? She seems to think so sometimes, because there's a lot of things she doesn't like. I want to do like a sardine taste test, because a lot of people are kind of weird about sardines. People will eat tuna all day long, but they won't eat sardines. And I'm like, they're just a tastier tuna, really, in my opinion. But so I wanted to have her taste those, and she's like, I'm like, okay. But yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily buy stuff directly to make her upset. It just seems to work out that way, I guess.
Good. Very good for your marriage too. It just seems that way, but isn't actually. Because I saw an interesting quote the other day that said, "Behind every angry woman is a man who has no idea what he did wrong." So, what made you decide to go keto in the first place? And was this a decision you made as a couple, or did one of you start and then the other one join in?
All right, that's a great question. So back in 2016, I started down a path to get an umbilical hernia repaired. I'd had it for almost 10 years and just stubborn and wouldn't go get it fixed or get it looked at. And it was kind of sticking out of my belly button like the size of my fist, right? So, I mean, you could see it with my t-shirt on. I was a big guy. And going into this process of seeing the doctors and starting the process to find a surgeon and start, working on getting it fixed. They had me step on the scale and I was 421 pounds, which no matter how big you get, you in the back of your mind know you're a big person. You're there when you're buying your 5X t-shirts and your 50-inch pants and all that stuff. You know you're a big person. But the mind has a way of kind of like glazing over that fact. And sometimes when you then you go and you do something like step on a scale and it says 421 pounds, it just hits you like like a Mack truck. You're just like, okay, it's really hard to overlook that. So I went home and Shannon and I were talking about it. And she said, we don't want to do surgery. Because at the time she was a nurse on a pancreatic unit floor. And they not only with the pancreatic surgeries, they would also get a lot of the bariatric complications come in, or people who had bariatric surgery at some point in time, and then there were complications after they'd healed, like something was not doing well. They had to come in and get something fixed, repaired, all that kind of stuff. So she was seeing that on a semi-constant basis. So we discussed, surgery is probably not the best course of action for us. What are we going to do? She said, well, let's go low carb and we'll do it together. And I was, of course, like, I don't want to go. I don't want to live without bread. Right. I mean, that's like kind of the case with everybody. You don't want to live without bread. You don't want to live without pasta. But I went, unwillingly, but willingly, because I knew I had to make changes. They're just not easy changes to make. So we started looking into what is a carbohydrate in the first place. So we went low carb, and we were probably still having about 150 grams of carbs a day, which if you're looking at especially at the time, the guidelines for a diabetic diet, that's still under their guidelines in most aspects, right? I think theirs is like less than 300 grams of carbohydrates a day. And then as I was searching for low carb recipes, we were looking for soup recipes and different things. And I kept running across ketogenic recipes. This is 2016. Not a lot of information out there. And most of the ketogenic recipes that I were coming across were from the epileptic children's site. So like the children with epilepsy and the ketos, keep that under wraps and keep that from being a problem. So I kept seeing keto, not really thinking a whole lot about it. And then I went for a checkup with my doctor, with my GP at the time. And he was an old guy. He was like my grandma's GP too. So that's how I went to start, because he was going with my grandma or taking care of my grandma. So I decided I'm going to bring her to these appointments anyway. So I might as well make him my GP as well. So that worked out. And so Shannon and I are sitting in his office, and we were telling him, hey, we're looking to do, lose weight. And we're trying to go low carb. We're not doing potatoes. We're doing cauliflower and that stuff. And he said something to me that resonated with me, but he didn't elaborate. He says, if you want to lose weight, you need to be in ketosis. But again, he didn't elaborate. and maybe because he's not allowed to. But that kickstarted my brain even more. So I was like, well, what exactly is this? I'm seeing keto recipes. You know, the doctor says if I want to lose weight, I need to be in ketosis. So what is it? So I went in, and there wasn't a lot of YouTube content at the time. I'm sure there was some, but I found more podcasts, and I found, you know, two keto dudes. So Richard and Carl. And I listened to every single episode they have within like a week and a half. And they had maybe a year's worth of episodes, maybe. They're putting them out every week. So it took me about a week and a half to get through 40, maybe 40-hour long episodes or something. And so I decided, okay, we're going to go keto, talk to Chandra about it. She was going to do whatever I did anyway, because she knew that if I was going to be successful, she had to come along. Which at the time we still had kids living with us. We had, you know, teenagers, middle school and high school teenagers living with us. We went in and cleared out the house, cleared out all the cabinets, the refrigerator. We gave food away. We threw a lot of food away. And basically everybody in the house went keto. You know, I mean, the kids almost committed mutiny. But good thing we weren't anywhere near an ocean. But so now they would still go out with their dad and stuff and have fast food on, you know, weekends or whatever. But with anything we cooked in the house, everything was keto. We didn't bring anything non-keto into the house. I think along the way, they still had popcorn and stuff like that, like the microwave stuff, just to keep them to have some kind of snack or whatever. And they were in rugby, and they thinned out crazy. They were running like 2-3 miles a day for rugby practice, and they got so in shape. It was like amazing. I have some pictures, I think, on my Instagram. But getting kind of dig for those. But yeah, so we did that. So it was a definite thing. So we had to do it together, because if I was going to be successful, she had to come along with me. And I mean, she needed to lose weight too. I mean, you know, but she's been a true champion for me. So, you know, she's stuck in there. She doesn't really necessarily see all the results of keto that a lot of women do. This doesn't seem to have the same power for her, but she continues to do it for me. So, you know, I think that's, you know, a test of, you know, like a true partnership. And, you know, I'm thankful every day for her. So, you know, I mean, we continue to do it. I get up and I do stuff. I do primarily all the cooking, the shopping and everything. And we don't bring anything into the house that's not keto. So, and I make her coffee in the morning with the butter and, you know, whatever she wants to put in there, her iodine drops and all that stuff. So, yeah, maybe a little more information you wanted to know, but that just kind of gives a good overview of like our dynamic and where we came from, where we are now. She may not be doing the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, but she primarily just eats meat and eggs and such anyway. But maybe just has the coffee and maybe some diet sodas here and there, but not necessarily as strict as what I feel I should be doing.
That's great. I mean, she deserves a gold star for
Yeah.
for basically dragging you into the journey and doing it with you to keep you accountable, because having somebody to keep you accountable is very important, as I'm discovering. That's why I like my YouTube channel, because people out there, for the most part, keep me accountable to what I'm doing. Like, you know, if I decide to do something that's not carnivore, they really let me hear about it. Have you been getting outside and getting your walks in, or are you in that zone of the country where you're receiving residual smoke from Canada?
It just started just a couple of days ago, the smoke, but we have been going out and walking the dog at night for about an average of about a mile a night. We've been walking the dog, just around, like kind of zigzagging through the neighborhood, up and down the streets, and just and it's nice. It's quiet. Nobody's out. It's dark. It's cool. She and I talk, and it's a chance for us to kind of be by ourselves. And I mean, we're kind of halfway empty nesters anyway. I mean, our middle kid moved back in with us a couple of weeks ago. That's why we have a dog now. But so we're helping him take care of the dog, walking when he's at work, and we're training the dog too, because the dog is wild. So we're trying to train the dog, get her to be, you know, obedient and not jumping on people, or someone that we, you know, a dog that we can trust to be around our granddaughter. And right now she's not that dog. So it's taken a lot of work. So that's kind of a reason too why we've been a little lacking on some of the updates in the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs and such, where we've been focusing our attention on the dog a little bit too. But yeah, but getting out and walking, I've been really happy about that, because I mean it feels good, and then not just the walking, but just the time she and I get to spend together and talk, because there's nobody around. It's dark. We're just walking up and down the neighborhood.
That's great. I like to go out and get some more of my walking in at night as well. I do, of course, I record my walking and talking videos during the day while I have the bright sunshine to make the video look better. But I like to do the majority of my walking either first thing in the morning before the sun comes up, or as the sun is going down, because here in Nebraska, it's much cooler before the sun comes up and after the sun goes down, especially with the rain we've just gotten. It's been extremely humid on some days, but that's normal for around here. I do want to back up just a little bit and talk about, you talked about your starting your keto journey and why you did all that. So how has it gone for you? You've been doing this for several years now. Have you actually seen some weight loss, and are you getting back in shape? Are you happy with your results to date?
So there's kind of like two pieces to this. So from 2016 till about 2019, 2020, I was, gradually losing weight. I never lost a lot of weight fast. So like I said, I started around like the 420 mark, and I got down to about as low as 273 right around like 2019. I was starting to buy 5X t-shirts and 50-inch pants. And then I went and I switched jobs in 2019, and I had to go buy a whole new wardrobe, because the job I had was an office job, but they were very lax with the wardrobe. So I could wear shorts and flip-flops and t-shirts, and it didn't matter really what we wore to work. Then I switched jobs, and they were more business casual, so I had to kind of go on up my game and buy some more clothes. And a lot of the clothes that I did have were a little big on me, so I was buying clothes that were 38s in the pants, and I was buying, like 1X, 2X shirts, depending on the cut. It's not all shirts are created equal, but so I got down to about 2X shirts and to a 38-inch pants. And then, as you know, there was about a 3.5-year period where things didn't quite go the way we wanted them to, and we didn't leave the house a lot, and I gained weight. I'm kind of right now right around 320, so I've gained some weight back. So I'm not exactly thrilled about that, but understanding kind of where we came from and where we're going, I'm not devastated, and I know that I know what the path is to get back to where I need to go. And that's sort of where the beef, butter, bacon, and eggs challenge, and understanding my, why I want to go to October, why I'm not doing caffeine, and there's a lot of things like that. So that understanding that I got so far, because my goal was maybe 200 pounds. I don't really know for sure. Maybe if I get to 220, that's where I need to be, because the body will kind of tell you. I don't really have a goal weight necessarily, more of a goal size. Maybe get down to like maybe 36, 34-inch pants, extra large shirt, maybe. I don't know. I've never been a small person, so I just don't really know. I've been big for, late childhood all the way through adulthood until now. So I don't really have a good gauge of where I need to be. And
Hey,
I know,
you
yeah.
must be fairly tall, because if you were 400 pounds and a 50-inch waist, that's still not horrible, because, I'm only 5'7", and when I was at 330, I had a 58-inch pant.
Now that depends on where you're wearing your pants. I was not wearing them over like up here on top of the belly. I was wearing under the belly.
Oh, okay.
I was probably a 60-inch waist if you're going on top of the belly. I was probably a 60-inch if you're 60 something up there, but that's never been comfortable for me to wear pants up there. So I've always gone under the gut, which is not a whole lot better, but it felt like,
Okay.
yeah, because like wearing like a cinch belt on, a belt and pants up, above your belly button, when you got a big belly, it just feels like you can't breathe.
Okay. And did you ever get your hernia fixed, if you
I
don't mind
did,
me
yeah.
asking?
Yes, I did, yeah. That was one of the worst things. And that's where kind of like the blessing and the curse kind of happens, because Shanner being an RN, she basically got me set up with the surgeon. She had me work with a surgeon that she was familiar with, who did surgeries at the hospital she worked. Um, a quick little story about that. I was meeting with him, and he was going on and on and on and on about how I probably wouldn't need to have surgery, wouldn't need to have surgery. I'm like, hey, you just want to take a look at it? He's like, oh no, it's like about 30 minutes. He went on about how I probably wouldn't need surgery. And I was like, okay, how about you just look at it? And so finally he goes, okay, let's take a look at it. Pull my shirt up. He looks at it. He looks back at his assistant and scheduled the appointment to have the surgery. It was like 2 weeks from then. So yeah, I got that all taken care of. I don't recommend getting the surgery because it hurts a lot, but I know you have to if you need it. But it hurts so bad.
Yeah, it's always amazed me how doctors will make assumptions just talking to you until they actually look at something. Because I remember one time, the last time before my heart surgery, when I was going in to get my DOT card, the guy must have had a deal with the CPAP machine company or something, because he was saying, oh yeah, you look like you're going to have, what's the thing they give CPAP for?
Sleep apnea.
Yeah, sleep apnea. He was convinced I was going to test positive for sleep apnea because, he looked at me, and I had a great big fat neck and a fat face and a great big round belly. And, yep, that's one thing. And he kept checking off the things where he said, yeah, we're going to have to get you scheduled in for the clinic to do a sleep study and sleep apnea and all that. And then he finally got around to saying, open up and say, and he looked in my throat and went, no, you don't have sleep apnea.
I had an opposite experience with that. So Shander was, because I was snoring real bad and like waking up in the middle of the night with like very bad acid reflux and hacking and coughing and like choking in the middle of the night. And so during the whole process of getting the hernia repair, I was trying to get an evaluation for like sleep apnea. And they were like the opposite. They didn't want me to take they're like, oh, they're like, yeah. And I'm like, this and this and this. Okay, yeah. And then finally they gave me they had me take home this little device that I put over my head, and I had to put it up my nose and then sleep. And then then they would record me sleeping for one night, and then they would analyze it. And I'm like, okay. And it was like our air conditioner wasn't working. So it was midsummer and it was so hot, which means I didn't sleep very good anyway. But they analyzed it and they're like, you stopped sleeping like 75 times an hour. Like you stopped breathing 75 times in an hour. You need this or you're going to die. I'm like, okay. I tell you what, that sleep apnea machine, like that thing, like then you start sleeping so good. You don't realize what sleep is until you finally get a good night's sleep and you wake up and you're like, oh. So yeah, sleep apnea machines, that changed my life too. That and losing a lot of weight made it a lot better too.
Thank you for that story. Before we're down to the point in the interview where I like to open the floor up, anything that I forgot to ask you that you would like to talk to my audience about, the floor is yours. Just take 3 or 4 minutes and tell my audience what you want them to know about Dustin and Keto Simple.
Well, I was going to ask you, are you going to KetoPalooza?
I have not yet decided. I would like to go, but my plans for the winter have changed because, I've been going to North Carolina for the winter every year. And was planning on stopping at KetoPalooza on the way through this year. Well, I bought a chunk of land down in Texas.
Ooh.
So I have to go down there and start working on getting things set up on my own property down in West Texas. And Louisville, Kentucky is not on the way to West Texas. And my pickup truck gets if I'm going downhill with a tailwind while I'm pulling my trailer, I can get 9 or 10 miles to the gallon with my truck because it's got a big 5.3 liter V8 engine in it, which is great for pulling my camper and all that other stuff. But it's not very fuel efficient. We'll see how it goes. I would still like to go. What I think I may do is talk to James and Emily at Ready Set Keto and see if I can park my camper at their place and then maybe ride down with them, spend a couple of nights in a hotel, and then leave for Texas from there. We'll see how it goes. That's a long way away. Right now I'm concentrating on, I'm having a July meetup here the day before the Hard to Kill Omaha Summit. So on July the 27th, I'm hosting a meetup at the miniature golf course that I work at. And then the 28th and 29th is the Omaha Hard to Kill Summit. So I'm hoping some people come in town early for that and come on out to the miniature golf course and play some miniature golf and eat hamburgers, because I'm bringing a big grill out and I'm going to provide a bunch of hamburgers for everybody. So I would like to come to KetoPalooza, but I do not know yet for sure. Any other questions you had for me while we're here before I turn you loose and let you talk to my audience?
I think that's it, Bob.
Okay. Well, now you can go ahead and take a few minutes and tell my audience what you'd like them to know about Dustin and Keto Simple.
Well, again, like I said, like what we talked about is we review a lot of products. So you don't have to, or so just in case maybe just to cure your curiosity so you don't buy them and not like them like we do. I'm planning to do more vlogging. We're wanting to do some live streams, be more involved, because Chandra's not necessarily involved in a lot of things. She works, and we've got the granddaughter 5 days a week and a lot of things behind the scenes that we take care of. And she's not very sociable, I guess, too. She tries, but it's just not in her nature necessarily. But I've got Twitter and Instagram and all that fun stuff, and I try to keep those updated, share what we've got going on. I really enjoy the community. That's really the most important part of all this for me. Getting to meet great people like Bob. I tell you, one of the first things, and Bob was talking about that video of ours that he saw, and he made a little like mention of us in his live stream. And I go on and I'm like, "Hey, Bob," and his live stream goes, "I'm so glad you're here." And I'm like, man, that makes you feel so good. And I'm really glad for that too, because like somebody's going, "I'm really glad you're here," and you're really cool. You're really cool, dude, Bob. And I'm really glad you had me on here. And I'm really glad I got a chance to meet you and talk with you and get to know you a little bit. Because like I said, that's to me the most important, even of our channel. Anything that we do on our channel aside, to me, the most important piece of it is just the community, getting to know people like you and James and Emily and Noah. And I met Jackie. Strangely enough, we don't live but 45 minutes apart. And I got to know her through YouTube instead of, so that, and like all the people, got to know like Autumn and Two Crazy Ketos, and that's kind of led me to wanting to go to the KetoPalooza, because I want to meet all these amazing people and have a good time, and that's what excites me the most. So if you want to follow us and be a part of the community and with Bob, and but like just like with Bob, we're not always perfect, and we try to make sure that we're transparent about that, because we're humans and we make mistakes, and we're keto and that's our lifestyle, but that's not necessarily like our identity. So like, we go out and we'll have sushi sometimes for a special event or something. You know what I mean? Like we don't lie about it. We're very honest about it. So I don't know what else to tell. I just like, join the community, have a good time, and meet some amazing people.
So that is Dustin from Keto Simple. Don't forget, go down in the comments, say thank you to Dustin for being here today, and thank him for his time. Don't forget to go over to his channel, Keto Simple, and subscribe and check out what he's got going on over there. But again, leave a comment, say thank you to Dustin, because everybody's time is important. That's what I've got for you today, folks. I hope you enjoyed this interview. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I'll see you in the next one.